Hello, welcome to my home. I'm Jean and I live in Colorado, and I started doing videos in January of 2017. And this is a video called Bye Bye Scrammo Scrammo Loneliness, maybe for a little while we're here, and chat and collage. So today I thought I'd chat about how I went to Europe with a friend who I didn't even know. She wasn't even a friend yet. This was back in, I think it was around April of 1984. Yeah. And I had been working a lot of overtime, so I had a little extra money. And I was saying to my coworker, we worked like in a cubicle with four of us in one big cubicle. So I was saying to Eileen, I would like to do something kind of exciting, for a vacation this year. I mean, my furthest vacations I took, because I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, were to Ocean City. That's pretty much what we did. And Eileen said back to me, well, that's funny. My roommate, Patty, just said the other thing. She wants to take an adventurous vacation. And you two should get together. In fact, I'll get you together with the phone numbers and you can meet. And we did. We met down at the Harbor Place, which is a really kind of cool place that was built up around the harbor with a promenade, and the boats come in, and the Constitution boat sets up there, and they have tours of that I've done. So we met, I think it was at an Indian restaurant in one of the buildings along the promenade, and just started to talk about what we wanted to do. And she had plans. I really didn't have plans, but I was totally okay with that because I did not have any plans. All I had was fun vacation, something different, something adventurous. I have a pillow behind my back, so I'm gonna adjust it. Get yourself comfortable on the couch. I have water, whatever you need. Just gonna sink in here for, 12 to 15 minutes. So we talked, Patty and I, back and forth. She said she wanted to go to Europe, and I was like, okay, and go to England, and she knew some people in England, or was it Paris? I think it was Paris or England, Paris, England. This was 1984. What year is it now? Yeah, a lot of years ago, over 40. And then to Paris, and then to the south of France. So she had it all kind of worked out, and I said, I'm fine. That sounds great to me because I don't know what to do. And she was an art director, so she was really looking forward to the museums and all that kind of thing. I'm going to adjust this light a little bit. Okay. And so we left, I think it was the end of June. It was going to be for 10 days, I think. And we got on an airplane in Baltimore, I guess. It was called Friendship Airport then, not BWI, not Baltimore Washington International. And for some reason, either they didn't have enough gas in the airplane, but we had to stop in Iceland. And we had to get off of the airplane where they put the stairs down from the door and you walk out onto the tarmac like the president does. And we had to do that. And I was amazed, right? That was such a cool thing to do. And then walk over to the Iceland terminal, and all the stewardesses and all the, the workers on the airplane, they were just rushing to get sweaters and all kinds of things. We're like, what? Are we supposed to get sweaters, that we can't get anywhere else? I didn't, and I don't think Patty did either. And then we went back out on the tarmac and walked up the stairs into the airplane and continued on to England, to London. And that's where we spent a few days. So I want to get started on a collage and maybe tell more of that story as we go along, or maybe just work on the collage. We'll see. So what I do, if you haven't been here before, welcome if this is your first time, but this is video number 4, so I have 3 other ones out there, and they're all marked on the thumbnail, number 1, number 2, number 3. So I get a pillow, put that on my lap, and I found this old frame at a yard sale, so I use that as my board to do the collages on. Then I take a white piece of paper and put that on top of the board, so when I'm working with my glue stick, it doesn't get my board all ooey gooey. That's a brand new glue stick. And I have my scissors, so glue stick and scissors. But before we even start that, if I could take a minute to tell you guys, I did, I don't know, 12 or 15 practice videos. I'm an analog person, and I don't know why the thought came to my mind in the beginning of January. Make a video about your collages. People ask me, how do you make your collages? And then I read all these articles about loneliness being an epidemic. So I thought, how can I put those 2 things together? And another parameter that came to me about making a video was that I really wanted to do it on my own, figure it out. Like not have, you know, someone sitting next to me saying, do this, do this, do this. So I wanted to quick show you what you missed out on. My practice video collages. So here's one I made during my practice. And it was just a card that came in the mail. I get these freebie cards in the mail, like maybe you do too, from organizations that would like you to send them some money to donate, and that's okay. But I use the cards. Here's a City of Hope card. Got it like a pack of 6. This is one where I used a picture of myself, and I'm able to do that because I have a color printer. So that comes in handy. I got this lamp from one of those catalogs that come in the mail about furniture. That's my cat Hannah. She's gone to kitty heaven, but I still love her and still include her in the collages. And I thought that finger at the top, actually I think that's my finger, that was just kind of an interesting thing. And another one, more simple, I get my backgrounds from calendars that come in the mail. So freebie cards come in the mail, freebie calendars, and maps all come in the mail, and I save them. So how I got the fish was that I had a multicolor background of something, and I just cut out fishy kind of shapes. Not exactly, but sort of. So I'm showing these to you just to give you an idea of what can be done in just even a little bit of time. These dogs, you know, that came in something that was, came in the mail from some humane society. And there's me again. Another lamp. This was like a cabin sort of thing. So anything you can find like that. And I reuse pictures because I have the printer. So I made a different one. Not that much different, but a little. This one I made for a 95-year-old man. Again, it was from freebie card, if you don't believe me. And there's an organization called loveforyourelders.org. And you can make your collage cards and maybe type up a little letter or write something inside the card. Just say, hey, you know, blah, 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 blah. And send them off to the elders. If you go to the website, and I'll hopefully remember to put it in the comments, the website address. Every month they have 12 or 16 new elders. They have the name, and they have a paragraph underneath. And it just talks about what they've done in their life, their hobbies, their family, and maybe something that's happened lately where a card would cheer them up. I've done that for over a year. It gave me motivation. So anyway, the this guy was turning 95, Al, I think was his name. He was in the Air Force and he liked old-timey things. So I found this old-timey car and I found that airplane and a dog. And I also made one with a map because I printed the airplane out twice. This is going on too long. Here's one I made. You know, from some kind of gardening brochure catalog that came in the mail. I got those carrots, another picture of me, you know, this lamp with the girl reading, and then the cow. I love the cow, and I love this timepiece. Fun, huh? I think it's fun. You know, once you get going, you just got to start, and I go through that too. Start. Sometimes, you know, but I try and keep my things a little bit organized, like backgrounds, and I have a bunch of images already cut out, but I have all the stuff where I can cut out images. This little girl here is my niece's daughter, Lena. And then I have a set of 6 of these cups. I took a picture of them. Teacups, antique things. This was a girl playing the guitar, a girl here with the dog, and the boat. And I sign all my original, you know, and any copies I make. In this one, the dancers were from a travel brochure thing that came in the mail. I think this arm was too. And the background was, you know, like a wintry background from a calendar. And then I made it a little bigger because I can do that with my color printer. Okay, we're never going to get started. But I also want to show you, I'm going to put this on my coffee table. In this past week, here are all these cards I've gotten. 12 more cards. And you don't have to just make them card size. You can make them the size of the calendar background. Can make it easier because your images will be larger than, like a calendar background like this. Something like that. Calendar backgrounds, all kinds of calendar backgrounds. Got a whole pile of them. And if you don't get anything like this in the mail, check with a thrift store. They might have calendars and magazines that people donate, or your library. Our library sells magazines for 25 cents. Where can you get anything for 25 cents anymore? Okay. So I got myself a little bit started on one the other day. And what I do is I'm going to tilt down the camera so you can see what's going on down here on my lap with the collages. And a friend said I need to get closer, but I got to see what's going on too. So we all just do the best we can here. I think we got it. Yeah. I'll move that closer. I'll move this closer to me, as close as I can get it. So I picked out a card from a card. This was another Save the Children. This looks like a Christmas card kind of thing. And that's the one we'll use. Put the envelope aside. I do want to move this closer to see if I can. Yeah, sorry about all the movement. I think this has to be tilted up just a tad more. Yeah, so you can see that. All right. And I went to my images. So I found this in one of those travel brochures that come in the mail, Viking or whatever. So I like that background. But that's not going to fill up the size of the front of this card. So we got extra at the bottom and too much across. So we have to decide about that. So I found 2 more images there that I liked, that I thought I'd put down here, or part of them down here. So I kind of get the size of the card there. I'm going to have to do some cutting. I think this one's upside down. Not even sure which way that goes. I think it goes this way. So I'll decide how much of this I want on it. And then I picked out, cut out these images, some hikers, and all this kind of thing. Bridge, bicycler. And I have a ton more images too that I can use if I change my mind and think, well, I want to use, look at all these images I've cut out. Tons of images, and this is just foam core. A chair, I could put a chair in here if I wanted to. Dog, a bird, have something like very surreal. Well, that's a little bit too big. And guy playing some musical instruments. And over here, I even got more. So when you start cutting out things, you might not want to keep them on foam core like this, but you can keep them in envelopes. And maybe mark your envelopes. Animals, people, here's another arm. You know, maybe I'll use that arm in there. So that's kind of how we do. And I was kind of hoping I would remember. So I'm going to cut out. And you can be cutting out things right now, or go and find some magazines that might have some cool pictures in it. And just cut out things while we're working on this together. So we got this, and got the waterfall. So I can cut out some of this because I don't need all of that. You can see. And might do it like that. So, you know, you decide like, well, it's not going to be exact. And don't worry about anything being exact because it's collage. If you didn't get it exact, it doesn't matter because you can like put another image someplace else and it'll all work out. At least that's how it's worked out for me. So I want to have something like that. Let me move this closer. This will be kind of like our background. So I'm going to glue stick that on. I know. I'm going to glue stick it on. And what I do is I put the glue on the back of this. And I think I'm going to just use from the towers, both towers. And I don't glue it all at once. I glue just enough to get it down. And then I go back and put some more on because I don't want it to be too stuck on there. It gets too stuck on there and it's kind of messed up. I want to move it around. Then I have more work to do. So I'm going to move this one up here. Put that there. And then these ones, yeah, I talk like I'm from Baltimore. If you notice I have an accent, it's because I have an accent, being from Baltimore, Maryland. Okay. So, I think I'll cut a little bit more off of this one. And that can go kind of there. And I think I can cut the top of this off a little bit more. And then Patty and I, well, Patty had arranged for where we were going to stay in London. And we go there and she thought, oh, we didn't like it. And she goes, this is kind of dirty. You know, it wasn't a fancy place. And she went down there and she just talked to the people. And they were like, okay, you know, you just pay for tonight and you don't have to pay for, you know, all the other nights. It was different back then, you know, 1984. And she went and found us something in a really nice neighborhood that had a park and people would be sitting on the benches, feeding the birds, and this was all so new to me. It's like, wow, this is also amazing to have that experience in a different country, and the double-decker buses. And of course, we took a double-decker bus. Oh yeah, we did that. We tried to do all the touristy things. And when you went into like somewhere to eat, a little cafe to eat, and it was really crowded, you just sat with whoever. You know, if a person had room on their table, you just sat with them. Everybody was really friendly, and we went over to the Queen's place and watched all, you know, those guards or whatever they call them do their thing with the things over their shoulder, and the red hats on, and everything furry. It was pretty crowded, but that was okay. I had one of those Instamatic cameras. That's back in the day when, you know, that's all we had. So now I'm going to cut off the excess from the sides. I can always glue it down more. I think I'll glue this down more right now. And Patty was the kind of woman who, well, we're all only in her 20s, early 20s. But she always had to have her hair just right, and her lipstick just right, and all this kind of thing. And I don't know if I mentioned it or what, but she said, oh, it's because of my mom. My mom insisted I always, you know, have an outfit on and lipstick and my hair just right. And I was like shorts and t-shirts and tennis shoes. But that was okay. We got along. Probably mostly because I was just like, Patty, I'll do whatever you want. Didn't matter to me. She wanted to shop and buy clothes, and she went to Harrods, and I went to Covent Gardens. And so now look at that. We have our background. And it kind of looks like it's supposed to be that way. But even if it doesn't look exactly like it's supposed to be that way, it's a collage, so it is supposed to be that way. Collages are so fun that way. That way, that way, that way. Okay, get that phrase out of my mind. Now, what are we going to do here? So, I had these hikers, and there was one, it's a larger, oh, I have this I use. It's like a straight edge thing. I don't use it to cut out pictures really, but I do use it to pick them up. So these guys can be hiking. And what about this girl on the bicycle? I thought that was kind of cool. Although maybe these guys would be over here, because they show up with the contrast better, and she'd be... But I also often like them to be facing each other, so they're facing in to the collage. Like these guys can go like that, and she's coming over here. Maybe she'd be a little like that. And then I had these camels or something over here. And do I want to use the hand? What is the hand going to pick up? The hand's got to pick up something. And then I thought, oh, I'll cut this thing out from Seattle, put that in it. See, it's all getting surreal. And then at first I thought maybe I'll have this bridge thing across here, because that kind of goes. But then if I want to use the hand thing, I could put the bird up here, and the hand can be reaching out to the bird. And you're like, what's going on? Well, what I think of, I mean, I don't think of it consciously, but I'm creating a little world in this 5x7 card. And it may not be a real realistic world, but there is action happening. It's like, oh, there's, you know, you have a background, and there's a lot of different things going on in this background. Just like in life, you know, someone could be waiting at the bus stop, and another person could be hiking up the mountains, and somebody rides by on their bike. So we're just creating our own little world here. And we've gotten to 25 minutes, and it's way too long. So I'll finish this up and show it to you on video number 5. And I'll tilt this up. And thanks for hanging in there if you hung in there for all these 25 going on 26 minutes. And I can tell you more on video number 5 about the trip to Europe that Patty and I took. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for coming, and write something in the comments if you want, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.